Zim was working on something in his lab underground. Gear was supposed to be in the living room of the house and make sure no one got in. Of course, Gear didn't do his job and he let Dibby in. Zim was hard at work. He still wanted to try and take over the Earth, but he hasn't tried to recently. Other things have been on his mind, like the fight with Dib. Zim didn't mean to kill him. Zim was just annoyed and pissed at the moment. Zim still sees the crimson-red liquid that flooded out of Dib. Zim was an Urkin invader for crying out loud, but that didn't mean he didn't have emotions and feelings too. Zim felt regretful and guilty for what he did, but he'll never admit he was the great and almighty Zim after all. Zim sighed and he continued to work. He didn't mind Dibby, but it felt odd, because Dibby was almost nothing like Dib. Zim was so lost in his thoughts and his work that he didn't realize Dibby had walked into his underground lab with his Urkin technology.
Dibby looks around enthusiastically, taking pictures and touching stuff, mostly at all that, silently gasping and wowing to himself on how interesting and impressive Zim's lab and stuff are. As he noticed Zim busy on technology working, he smirked. He smirked mischievously without Zim knowing. He quickly sneaked towards Zim's back and tickled Zim's shoulders fastly easy, while cleverly sneaking off, hiding playfully, enjoying to play this new game, and he thought it was fun silently.
Zim let out squeals of laughter. He immediately dropped the technology and he tried to grab at the source of tickling. He couldn't see who was doing it. Dibby, is that you? Zim managed to say out between giggling.
There was no response. It was like he was disappeared. Dibby's arms appearing from down below Zim, tickling Zim's legs playfully, enjoying this game he's putting on. After tickling Zim's legs for a fast moment, he sneaks off through the shadows of the lab in stealthy playfulness.
Zim was giggling like an idiot. Normally, when Zim was being tickled, he'd be annoyed and pissed. But this time, it was quite the opposite. He was just giggling. In fact, he was kinda having fun. He still hates being tickled, though. Zim, even though he was giggling like a moron, looked around. Dibby, come out! Zim said while he was trying not to laugh.
Dibby's arms begins to aim at Zim's armpits, tickling recklessly, quick before stealthily disappearing out of nowhere, and Dibby's giggling could be heard.
Zim immediately started to laugh like a goddamn lunatic. He started to giggle like a moron once again, and he was laughing pretty damn loud. Zim's laughter was starting to turn into squeals of laughter. Zim was rolling around trying to swat the arms away, but he couldn't catch them. It was also kinda hard to do that while giggling uncontrollably. Stop it! Quit
it! Dibby's giggles can be heard around at the lab. He was nowhere in sight except the shadows. His arms tickled Zim's stomach quickly before hiding below the table, playfully stealthy.
Zim was practically howling in laughter. He was trying to crawl away, but then Dibby's arms started to tickle his stomach. Zim's laughter started to become louder, and he was almost shaking from laughing so hard. Zim finally managed to crawl away from the table, which was incredibly hard to do, because he was laughing like a lunatic the whole time. He panted heavily while he was trying to catch his breath after laughing so much, and he was giggling like an idiot. And no more!
Dibby stopped tickling, putting his arms to his face, giggling playfully, hiding stealthily, hoping that Zim won't find him under the table.
Zim was now panting, trying to catch his breath after the sudden onslaught of relentless tickles. Zim was still giggling here and there. He finally managed to calm down. Zim's giggling slowly faded away. He was now looking around for Dibby, and he looked under the table. Zim then spotted Dibby hiding. I know you're under there! Zim started to chuckle. He then suddenly grabbed Dibby from under the table and pulled him out. Caught you, Dibby!
Dibby gasped by surprise, squealing awkwardly, chuckling under his breath mischievously.
Zim chuckled and held on to Dibby. He then started to poke and tickle Dibby's sides and tummy. I got you! I got you!
Dibby, I thought a ghost almost tickled you there. Gee, I wonder how that happened. Acting innocent, acting playful, like he had nothing to do with it.
Zim huffed and chuckled. I know it was you. Zim then started to tickle Dibby even more. You cheeky little bugger!
Dibby squealing and laughing, surprised, before trying to squirm away, mischievously trying to run.
Zim smirked and grabbed Dibby by the waist, pulling him close. Zim then continued to tickle and poke at Dibby's sides and tummy. Nuh-uh! You're not going anywhere!
Dibby.
Zim chuckled again. I'm not stopping until you confess. Zim then moved his hands from Dibby's sides to his armpits, starting to tickle him there.
Dibby was laughing and squirming frantically, while sticking out his tongue mischievously.
Zim smirked wider at Dibby's reaction. He then suddenly started to scratch at Dibby's armpits. Are you going to fess up, or am I going to keep going?
Dibby. Not a chance, sly space bud.
Zim chuckled at Dibby's response. He was stubborn, Zim will give him that, but Zim wasn't going to let up just because of that. All right, you asked for it, but don't say I didn't warn you. Zim then went back to tickling Dibby's sides with one hand, and he resumed scratching and tickling his armpits with the other one.
Dibby. Cheater? How's that fair?
Zim simply smirked. Hey, I never said that I play fair. As Zim said this, he started to tickle and scratch Dibby's hips and stomach too, using both hands. Zim chuckled at Dibby's reaction. He started to go faster and faster with his tickling. Come on, confess! Just say that it was you who was tickling me earlier.
Dibby. Never. You'll never make me. Immediately hops through Zim and onto the table while sticking his tongue out playfully.
Zim chuckled. Get back here! Zim then jumped after Dibby and tried to grab him.
Dibby. This is fun for me. Immediately jumps through the lab until tripping to a cornered tube. By surprise, he gulped a bit, realizing he was trapped.
Zim smirked when he saw that Dibby was trapped. Gotcha. Zim slowly walked over to Dibby. Zim chuckled deviously as he got closer to Dibby. He had Dibby trapped. You can't escape me now, Dibby! Zim stood in front of Dibby. Admit it. Admit it was you who was tickling me earlier, and I'll go easy on you. If you don't confess, I'll start to tickle you mercilessly.
Dibby. Oh, over my fun dead body?
Zim smirked. You asked for it. With that said, Zim started to suddenly tickle all of Dibby's sides, his stomach, his hips, and his armpits at the same time, not even giving him a break or any chance to catch his breath. Zim chuckled when he saw Dibby's reaction. Still refusing to confess, huh? That's fine. We can do this all day if I have to. Zim started to go even faster, tickling Dibby as hard as he could.
Dibby. Okay. You win. I give in. It was me. I just want to surprise you. And I wanted to have some fun with you. And tease you a bit. That's all. Just stop.
Zim smiled and he eventually stopped. He chuckled. Well, that wasn't so hard, now was it? All you had to do was say that it was you. Zim then pulled Dibby closer.
Dibby, in my defense, I just wanted to have a little bit of fun to surprise you and tease you a bit, that's all.
Zim chuckled at Dibby's sentence. He pulled him even closer, holding him against his body. I know. It was pretty fun too, I'll admit that, but you were supposed to confess faster. Zim smirked mischievously.
Dibby, not my fault. I want to keep things fun and playful enough to be interesting for you. To keep your mind off of moody stuff. No offense, bud.
Zim chuckled and smirked. None taken, and I appreciate having a distraction from the moody stuff, as you put it. But I have a little question for you.
Dibby,
Zim smirked, and he leaned in closer. Have you ever been tickled by anyone else? Or am I the only one who's done it to you? Zim asked.
Dibby, I don't know, to be honest. I mean, well, there's Gurr. There's Gurr that one time minute ago, yeah.
Zim chuckled. I meant other than Gurr. Anyone you know who's not a robot?
Dibby. No, nobody actually. I never been tickled by anyone else.
Zim chuckled again. He smirked. So, I'm the only one who's ever tickled you then, huh?
Dibby, both you and Gurr, yes. You guys are the only ones that can tickle me well.
Zim chuckled. He started to smirk teasingly. I have a little proposal for you then.
Huh?
Zim pulled Dibby even closer. They were basically pressed up against each other. Zim's voice then lowered to a whisper as he said the next sentence. I have a little bet for you, if you're willing to partake in it.
Dibby, I guess so, like what?
Zim smirked at Dibby's response. He whispered in Dibby's ear, his tone teasing and low. If you can go, let's say, 1 hour without making even one squeak or giggle when I tickle you, then you win the bet, and I'll do whatever you want me to do. But if you start laughing or squeaking even a little bit, then I win, and I get to do whatever I want to you.
Dibby, okay, deal then.
Zim smirked even wider. He was liking where this was going. You seem pretty confident. Think you can withstand 1 hour of being tickled?
Dibby, maybe.
Zim chuckled at Dibby's answer. So that's a yes, then! Zim started to have a sly look on his face. Leaned in closer and whispered into his ear again. Then let's get started, shall we? Zim then started to lightly tickle Dibby's sides and tummy with one hand. Zim chuckled as he saw Dibby's reaction. He kept up the tickling, making sure to find the most ticklish spots. Still doing good there,
Dibby nodded awkwardly, trying his best to keep strong and nonchalant to the touch.
Zim smirked. He could see that Dibby was trying to resist. He continued the tickling, going even faster to test Dibby's endurance. I gotta say, I'm impressed that you're putting up such a strong front.
Dibby, not gonna laugh. I'm not gonna laugh.
Zim chuckled at Dibby's determination. He started to go even faster, making sure to focus on the most sensitive and ticklish spots on his body. Zim was determined to make Dibby break. You're stubborn, you know that, Dibby. It's a little adorable. Zim chuckled. Oh, there's that cute reaction I wanted to see. Zim started to move both of his hands, and he started to gently scratch and lightly tickle near Dibby's armpits, going faster. You're doing good so far, Dibby. Zim smiled at Dibby's reaction. He seemed to find it amusing. What happened to not letting out a sound or a single giggle, Zim teased as he continued to tickle and scratch his armpits and sides at the same time.
Dibby immediately burst out laughing, uncontrollably panicked, unable to hold it in anymore.
Zim smirked in triumph as he heard Dibby's outburst of uncontrollable laughter. He chuckled to himself as he continued the intense tickle attack. Well, looks like I win, Zim said with a victorious tone. He decided to keep going with his tickle attack for a few more moments, enjoying the sound of Dibby's adorable giggling and laughing. Zim continued the tickling for another minute or so. Once he was done, he smiled and pulled Dibby against his body once more. You put up a good fight there, Dibby. For a while there, I almost thought you were gonna win, Zim teased with amusement in his voice.
Dibby sighs in defeated annoyance. Yeah, I get it. I was this close, but you were too good to even make me out of control.
Zim chuckled and smirked again, reveling in his victory. That's right, I was just too good for you. I always win, Zim teased again playfully. He pulled Dibby even closer, their bodies pressed flush together. And now I get to do whatever I want with you, since I won!
Dibby narrowed his eyes, slightly concerned from defeat in disbelief while sighing. Yeah, whatever.
Zim smirked wider as Dibby sighed. He then suddenly got a mischievous look in his eyes. Aw, don't look so down, Dibby. Don't worry, I won't do anything too extreme. I have something else in mind. Zim's tone became a little more playful and teasing. I want you to close your eyes for a moment, all right? Zim chuckled. That's a good boy. Close your eyes and keep them closed. And no peeking either.
Okay.
Zim smiled at Dibby's obedience. Once he saw that Dibby's eyes were closed, he spoke again. Perfect, you can open them now. But not yet. Keep them closed for a bit longer, Zim teased. He wanted to mess with Dibby a little more.
Dibby, I'll try, but whatever you're planning for me, it better not be too embarrassing. Just fun, okay?
Zim chuckled at Dibby's request. He smirked. Don't worry, I promise it won't be too embarrassing or anything like that. I just want to have a little fun. And trust me, you'll enjoy it. Just keep your eyes closed for another 30 seconds. Can you do that for me? Zim smiled, satisfied that Dibby was continuing to be obedient. He waited for 30 seconds, then spoke again. There! You can open them now, Zim said, a hint of playfulness in his voice. He was looking forward to seeing Dibby's reaction to the little surprise he had planned. Zim could see Dibby's eyes close, and he chuckled quietly to himself. Now, I want you to stay still and keep your eyes closed. I have a little surprise for you. No matter what I do, or what you feel, you have to stay still and keep your eyes closed. Can you do that for me? Just trust me and go along with whatever I do. I promise, you'll enjoy it! Zim's voice was low and playful as he said this.
Dibby, I'll try.
Zim smiled at Dibby's response. Good. That's what I like to hear. Just keep those eyes closed and don't peep. You'll have to keep still though, okay? No matter what you feel, you have to stay completely still and let whatever happens happen. You'll have to trust me and go along with it. Can you do that, Dibby? Zim's tone was now more seductive, and his voice sounded smooth and teasing. Zim smiled at the fact that Dibby was still obeying and keeping his eyes closed. He chuckled softly. Good boy. You're being very obedient right now. Keep that up and you might just earn a little reward. Zim took a step closer to Dibby. He then spoke again, his tone now even more seductive and suggestive. Remember, I want you to stay completely still and keep those eyes closed. No peeking. And whatever happens, just accept it. Do you understand? Zim chuckled again at Dibby's obedient response. Perfect. You're doing great so far, you know that? You're obeying so well. Zim continued to speak in a seductive tone. Now, I'm going to start touching your body, and you have to stay still and keep your eyes closed. No moving. I want to feel you tense up and feel your reaction to what I'm going to do. Can you handle that, Dibby? Zim chuckled at how submissive and obedient Dibby was being. He decided to start by lightly caressing Dibby's cheek with the back of his fingers, his touch soft and gentle. Zim then whispered, still maintaining his seductive tone. You feel so soft. Just keep those eyes closed for me. Don't move a muscle. Just trust me and accept whatever I do to you. Understand? Zim smirked at how easily Dibby was submitting to him. He then continued the light caressing, slowly moving his hand to Dibby's chin. Zim then spoke again, a hint of domination in his voice. You know, I really like how obedient you're being. It's very cute. Just keep it up. Don't you dare move. You're doing so well, you know that? Zim continued to lightly caress Dibby's face with his fingers, his touch becoming slightly firmer.
Dibby, surprise! Immediately began to playfully pounce on Zim, funly hyper. Got ya!
Zim was completely caught off guard by Dibby's sudden and playful pounce. He stumbled back slightly as Dibby jumped at him. Zim's eyes widened. Hey! Zim quickly caught himself and looked at Dibby, trying to keep up his usual confident demeanor, but a hint of surprise and embarrassment was evident on his face.
Dibby chuckled, successfully cheerful and mischievous, enjoying the fun with his new friend Zim in surprise. Heh, trying to be dominant, aren't you, pal? Well, I guess who's dominating you now, silly?
Zim quickly composed himself and shot Dibby a glare, trying to hide the fact that he was slightly flustered. Hey, I wasn't trying to be dominant, I just wanted to have some fun. I was totally in control of the situation. I was just testing you to see how long you'd listen to me, Zim said, trying to defend his pride.
Dibby, of course you were, buddy. Of course you were, buddy. But now my arms are now on your body. And this is fun. I'm loving being around you like this, playful.
Zim huffed, trying to maintain his usual confident attitude, but struggling to hide the fact that he was flustered by Dibby's playful demeanor. Fine, so you have your arms around me. Big deal. I can break free whenever I want to, Zim retorted, even though he made no attempt to actually break free.
Dibby, oh really? Then how are you going to ruffle my hair or play around me then, huh? Not like this now? Not like this now, eh?
Zim grumbled, realizing that Dibby had a point. He tried to come up with a clever response, but all he could manage was a half-hearted scoff. Well, I could still tickle you. I still have my arms free, you know. Zim threatened, though without much conviction.
Dibby, oh crud.
Zim smirked as he saw the realization dawning on Dibby's face. He quickly took advantage of the opportunity, using his free hands to start tickling Dibby's sides and under his arms mercilessly. Zim chuckled, enjoying the moment of victory. Looks like I've got the upper hand now, Dibby. You can't escape my tickles.
Dibby, Oh crap. Not fair. You cheater. Cheater.
Zim continued his relentless tickling attack, enjoying the sound of Dibby's adorable laughter. Cheater? Me? I don't cheat. I play to win. And guess what? I'm winning right now. Zim's smirk widened as he continued to tickle Dibby, his fingers dancing across his sensitive sides.
Dibby, oh, you want to play it that way? Immediately wrapping around Zim and tickled him back playfully.
Zim's eyes widened in surprise as Dibby managed to turn the tables on him and started tickling him back. He let out another loud laugh, unable to hold it in. He tried his best to appear annoyed, but he couldn't help but find the situation amusing. Hey, and no fair? I was supposed to have the upper hand here. Zim protested, struggling against Dibby's onslaught of tickles.
Dibby, this is a tickle fight now, buddy. This is war.
Zim let out another burst of laughter as the tickle war intensified. You're on, Dibby! Zim exclaimed, determined to gain the upper hand again. Despite being ticklish himself, Zim couldn't help but be infected by the fun and playful nature of the situation. He used his free limbs to counterattack, tickling Dibby back with gusto, aiming for his most sensitive spots. Both Zim and Dibby continued their intense tickle fight, laughing and giggling as they exchanged relentless tickle attacks. Zim's normally confident demeanor was momentarily forgotten as he focused on trying to get the upper hand in this unexpected battle. He tried different tactics to outmaneuver Dibby, even occasionally resorting to dirty tricks like quick grabs and unexpected pinches. Eventually, both Zim and Dibby became winded from the intense tickle fight, their laughter mingling together in a mixture of exhaustion and amusement. Zim finally relented, panting and catching his breath. Jay! Cease fire! He panted out, a small smile on his face. Truce, truce! I yield!
Dibby lets go while passing out, chuckling awkwardly, playfully, exhausted. Okay. Truce. It's a tie. A draw.
Zim chuckled as he watched Dibby collapse, clearly exhausted from their intense tickle battle. Phew, that was intense. You were a pretty tough opponent, Dibby. Zim complimented, still panting a bit. We might have to call it a tie for now, but don't think I won't win next time.
Dibby. Well, I'm always ready for you, just in case. Man, I had a blast. That was really fun of a rush.
Zim chuckled at Dibby's response. He couldn't help but feel a sense of fondness and amusement towards the clone. Hey, seems like you really enjoyed yourself, huh? I gotta admit, I didn't expect things to escalate like that. We made quite the team there, didn't we? A duo of unstoppable tickle warriors, Zim joked, his tone laced with a hint of affectionate teasing.
Dibby, yeah, I bet all that might give you a perfect idea for an advantage for your next invasion plan for Doom on Earth, huh?
Zim chuckled at Dibby's playful remark. He couldn't help but be impressed by the clone's quick-wittedness. Hee, you know me so well, Dibby. You're right, that tickle war gave me a few ideas for future invasion plans, Zim admitted, smirking. But don't go revealing my secrets to anyone, all right? We don't want the humans catching on to my devious plans.
Dibby, I know. But let's be honest with you, the people in Doomsville town are obviously way too unaware and stupid to even know about your plans happening either way anyway.
Jim chuckled at Dibby's observation. He knew the clone was right. Oh, absolutely. The humans in this town are hilariously oblivious. I could practically carry out my invasion plans in broad daylight, and they'd still be blissfully unaware, Zim said, his smirk widening. It makes my job so much easier having such dense humans around.
Nobody in Doomsville wouldn't care less anyways. Maybe you can have inspiration from our tickling war to your advantage for a Doom plan someday on them.
Zim chuckled at the idea. That's a great thought, Dibby. I could definitely take inspiration from our tickle war for my next invasion plans. Perhaps I'll find a way to incorporate some kind of tickling device into my Doominators, or perhaps use ticklish plants as a means of attack. Zim mused, his mind already starting to spin with ideas. Either way, I'll find a way to use our tickle battle to my advantage! Zim grinned at Dibby's response, pleased that the clone seemed amused by his ideas. You're quite the imaginative one, Dibby. Thanks for giving me some ideas. And trust me, I'll make sure to use them well against the humans, Zim said, his tone now more serious. After all, their unawareness and obliviousness is no match for my superior Urkin intellect and cunning.
Dibby chuckling playfully.
Zim smiled as he heard Dibby's playful chuckle. It was strange how easily the clone's laughter could affect him. He found himself feeling a strange sense of comfort and warmth from it. Your giggle is so cute, Dibby, he said, his tone uncharacteristically soft. You always find a way to amuse me, even when I'm trying to be all serious and intimidating.
Dibby, trust me, you don't always need to be. You just need a little break and lighten up, especially around me. And I'm lucky I gave you some time with that for it.
Zim paused for a moment, taken aback by Dibby's words. He hadn't expected the clone to be so insightful and perceptive. You know me too well, Dibby. You're right, I do tend to take myself a bit too seriously. But being around you does make me want to let loose and just, well, have some fun every once in a while, Zim admitted, a small smile playing on his lips. Zim chuckled at Dibby's cheerful response. He found himself feeling somewhat relieved and comforted by the clone's understanding and playfulness. You know, you're really something else, Dibby. You're always able to bring out a different side of me, one that I usually keep hidden. I guess that's your specialty, huh? Getting me to let my guard down and just enjoy myself, Zim teased lightly.
Dibby, and I'm glad that I got you a special soft side in your heart to let out. I like both sides of you. It's really fun and interesting. I'm surprisingly different from your Dib. There is complete differences. I'm like your best buddy, and he's your arch rival or something. And I bring out the fun.
Chuckled at Dibby's observation. You're right, there are a lot of differences between you and Dib. He's my sworn nemesis, always trying to stop my plans and ruin my day. But you, on the other hand, you're more like a buddy to me, someone to let my guard down and have some fun with. Maybe that's why I find it easier to be myself around you. Zim chuckled again, feeling his cheeks heating up slightly. He couldn't believe how easily his clone could make him blush. You're such a cheeky one, you know that, Dibby? Zim said, trying to sound like his usual self, but he couldn't hide the hint of affection in his voice. Always finding a way to smile and blush like some kind of
Softy. Dibby, don't worry. This stays between myself with you. I won't tell a soul, and if I end up doing so, feel free to ruffle my hair and pinch my cheeks and tickle me and mess with me with any kind of playful affection you want if you like to.
Zim chuckled, amused by Dibby's offer. He couldn't help but find it endearing. Oh, don't you worry, Dibby. If you ever threaten to spill our little secret, I'll make sure to give you as much ruffling, pinching, and tickling as you can handle. Zim promised, a sly smile on his face. He found himself oddly enjoying the idea of playfully tormenting his clone.
Dibby, I can handle many affection, especially around you.
Zim smirked at Dibby's response, secretly pleased by his clone's willingness to endure his affections. Oh, really? You think you can handle everything I dish out? Hey, we'll just have to test that someday, won't we? Zim teased, a hint of mischief in his voice. I have a feeling you're in for quite the roughhousing and playful torment. Zim chuckled at Dibby's playful reaction, enjoying the clone's carefree and cheerful demeanor. Hey, you seem awfully enthusiastic about the idea of being teased and tormented by me, aren't you, Dibby? Maybe you secretly like being my little plaything, Zim teased, his tone light-hearted and affectionate.
Dibby, oh, quit messing with me. I'm a person too. You sly alien.
Zim chuckled at Dibby's mock scolding, his smirk widening. Hee, I know you're a person, Dibby, but you're also my little clone buddy, and I'm allowed to tease and mess with you however I want, Zim retorted playfully, reaching out to ruffle Dibby's hair affectionately.
Dibby giggles calmly while hugging Zim firmly.
Zim's eyes widened slightly as Dibby suddenly hugged him tightly, but his initial surprise quickly melted away, replaced by a warm feeling in his chest. He returned the hug, wrapping his arms around the clone, holding him close. Hey, what's with the sudden hug, Dibby? Missing my attention that much? Zim teased gently, his tone filled with affection.
Maybe.
Zim chuckled at Dibby's response, pleased by the clone's admission of wanting his attention. Hee, I knew it. You just can't get enough of me, huh, Dibby? Zim teased, tightening his embrace around the clone affectionately.
Dibby, a bit. So what if I am?
Zim smirked at Dibby's honesty, his tone becoming more affectionate. It's cute how much you crave my attention. Just can't get enough of me, can you, Dibby? Zim tightened his embrace even more, holding the clone closely against his chest. But don't worry, I'll give you all the attention you need, and then some. After all, you're my little clone buddy. Zim continued holding Dibby close, enjoying the feel of the clone in his arms. He couldn't help but feel a sense of protectiveness and affection towards his clone buddy. You're so affectionate, Dibby. It's kind of cute, if I'm being honest. Zim teased, running a hand through the clone's hair gently. Zim chuckled at Dibby's reaction, enjoying the clone's adorable laugh. He continued to run his fingers through his hair, gently massaging his scalp. You always react so cutely, Dibby. I wonder what other cute reactions and expressions you can make. Zim teased, now moving his hand to lightly tickle under the clone's chin.
You little...
Zim smirked at Dibby's flustered reaction, amused by how easily he could get under the clone's skin. Hey, are you about to say something, Dibby? Zim asked teasingly, his hand still lingering under Dibby's chin. Go on, finish that sentence. I dare you, Zim challenged with a sly grin.
Little rascal brat? Little rascal brat?
Zim chuckled heartily at Dibby's attempted insult, thoroughly enjoying the clone's reaction. You're just too cute when you get all flustered and indignant, Dibby. And calling me a little rascal brat is just the cherry on top. Zim teased, a mischievous grin on his face. You're just making me want to tease you even more, you know that?
Dibby, I thought I was this close to get the upper hand at you. Hearing you laugh is music to my ears, especially interests me when you get flustered and embarrassed.
Zim chuckled, surprised by Dibby's observation. Hey, so you find it enjoyable to see me flustered and embarrassed? Zim teased, a hint of surprise in his tone. Well, I have to admit, I'm usually the one causing others to get flustered, not the other way around. You might have the upper hand without even trying, Dibby. Zim confessed, his cheeks turning slightly redder at the realization.
Dibby, thanks. I mean, I was this close to getting the upper hand, especially hearing your laughter. To not resist me and my fun, playful nature.
Zim chuckled, reluctantly admitting defeat to Dibby's relentless, playful nature. Hee hee, you really do have a way of getting the upper hand with that playful and affectionate nature of yours, don't you, Dibby? Zim acknowledged, a hint of resignation in his tone. He had to admit, it was surprisingly endearing. Guess I can't resist that carefree, joyous side of you, no matter how much I try to act all serious and tough. Zim chuckled at Dibby's cheeky grin, his own expression softening slightly. You're enjoying this, aren't you, Dibby? Zim teased, his tone now more affectionate than reproachful. You like knowing that you have such a strong effect on me, don't you? Making me laugh and lose my composure so easily.
Aw, my Zim thinks I'm adorable when I'm mischievous. How sweet of you.
Zim rolled his eyes at Dibby's remark, trying to maintain a stern expression, but failing miserably as a hint of a smile tugged at the corners of his lips. Hey, don't be all smug about it. Just because I find your mischievous side slightly endearing doesn't mean I'll let you get away with everything, got it? I still have a reputation to maintain, you know.
And what are you gonna do about it, huh? Let me guess. Roughhouse me to death?
Zim chuckled, contemplating Dibby's question. Oh, I could certainly roughhouse you into submission, he teased, a sly grin on his face. But I'll have you know, there's more ways to keep you in line than just physical punishment, Dibby. Zim suddenly reached out to pinch Dibby's cheek, giving it a playful squeeze. See? Sometimes, a simple pinch is all it takes to keep you in check.
What?
Zim chuckled at Dibby's surprised reaction, enjoying the clone's flustered expression. Hee hee, you act all tough and cheeky, but all I have to do is give you a little pinch, and you're reduced to a blushing mess, Zim teased, his fingers still lightly squeezing Dibby's cheek. Looks like I've discovered a certain weakness of yours, Dibby.
Psst. That's your way to get me payback? By pinching my cheek? Is that as playful affection? Is that all you got?
Zim chuckled, his smirk growing wider at Dibby's challenge. Oh, you think that's all I've got, huh? You underestimate me, Dibby. I could be much more ruthless and mischievous if I wanted to. Zim paused for a moment, pretending to think. But for now, a bit of playful pinching and teasing will do the trick. Surprisingly effective, you know. He gave Dibby's cheek one last squeeze before patting it lightly. Zim smirked at Dibby's array of expressions, clearly amused by the clone's reaction to his affectionate torment. Heh, you're making a whole range of faces there, Dibby. It's cute, really, he teased, his tone lighthearted and affectionate. Is all my playful pinching and teasing getting you all worked up, huh? Zim teased, giving Dibby's cheek another light pinch, this time a bit more gentle than the last.
You can't do more than just pinching my cheek to mess me up.
Zim raised an eyebrow at Dibby's challenge, a sly smirk on his face. Oh, you think I should step up my game, huh? You want more than just a simple pinch to mess you up? Zim's tone took on a teasing and slightly mischievous edge as he considered the clone's request. Hehe, careful what you wish for, Dibby. I could get really creative and mischievous if you keep testing me. Zim chuckled at Dibby's confident expression, knowing that the clone was testing him. You're really asking for it now, aren't you? You want me to get mischievous and creative, huh? You're just begging me to go all out and tease you. Zim's smirk grew wider, his tone more playful and mischievous. You don't know what you're getting yourself into, Dibby. I can be very devious when provoked. Zim chuckled at Dibby's cheeky grin, growing more and more amused by the clone's confidence. Hey, look at you, all smug and confident like that. You really think you can handle whatever mischief I throw your way, huh? Zim took a step closer to Dibby, his expression growing more amused and devious. Well, you're in for a surprise, Dibby. I'll have you blushing and stumbling over your words in no time. Zim let out another chuckle, his smirk growing wider as he continued to be amused by Dibby's confident expression. You're really pushing your luck, you know that. Making me want to tease and mess with you more and more. Zim smirked, an idea suddenly coming to mind. But you know what? I'm gonna play along with your little game. Let's see how long you can keep up that smug demeanor, Dibby.
Go ahead then.
Zim's smirk grew wider at Dibby's insistence, his mischievous side taking over his thoughts. Don't say I didn't warn you, Dibby. You wanted me to get mischievous, and that's exactly what you're going to get. Zim took another step towards Dibby, closing the distance between them even further. He leaned in slightly, his voice dropping to a low, teasing murmur. Get ready to have that smug grin wiped off your face! Zim couldn't help but chuckle again, amused by Dibby's confidence despite the challenge that he's throwing at him. Hey, you're one tenacious little clone, you know that? So smug and fearless, even when you're daring me to tease you. Zim reached out, gently tucking a strand of Dibby's hair behind his ear, his touch surprisingly gentle. Let's see how much longer you can hold on to that smirk, shall we? Zim couldn't help but smirk once more at the sight of Dibby's expressions. The clone was clearly enjoying the challenge, and Zim was loving every second of it. Hee, look at you, smiling so innocently one minute and then smirking the next. It's like a whole spectrum of emotions with you, isn't it, Dibby? He teased, his hand still gently touching the clone's hair. But don't get too comfortable with that smirk of yours. I'm just getting started. Zim chuckled at Dibby's surprised expression, finding the clone's reaction endlessly entertaining. He moved his hand to gently stroke Dibby's cheek, his touch light and playful. You look a little confused there, Dibby. Didn't expect me to do that, huh? He teased, his voice smooth and amused. Don't worry, it's just the beginning. I have plenty more up my sleeve for you, my little clone buddy. Zim chuckled again, enjoying the mix of emotions on Dibby's face. It was clear that the clone was surprised by Zim's affectionate gesture, but also secretly loving every second of it. Look at that expression. Are you starting to get a little flustered there, Dibby? He teased, his tone affectionate and playful. I don't think anybody's ever touched your face like this before, have they?
Dibby, no, actually, no one's ever given me this affection before. No one's ever given me this affection like this before.
Zim's expression softened slightly as he took in Dibby's words. Though he had expected to toy with the clone's emotions, hearing that no one had ever shown him such affection caught him off guard to a degree. No one? Really? No hugs, no kisses on the cheek, nothing? He asked, his tone a bit more gentle now.